So it's March 6th, 10:42 at night. So I was just watching a video on YouTube from religious religiosity religiosity plus. Yeah, okay. It's about the gossip of Judas, and this is from religious texts, agnostic texts, which is usually missing texts out of the Bible. But the motherfucking agnostic text is like, I feel like I'm hella late to it because back in the day, for a short time, I was getting into agnostic because at that time I was trying to be a good Christian, religious and stuff. But I think what happened is that somebody made me feel as if this text was already discredited, so there's no reason to read it and stuff like that. If I had the mindset that I do now, I would have read it anyways, regardless, because see, at times it's like you could really sit here, like when I hear people be like, oh, that religious text is made up. So what make you feel like the religious text that you have, like this Bible, is not made up? Like, who uh is telling you what is real and not, and why you not questioning that? Like, why you not questioning? And what type of test would prove that this text is valid? I feel like the proof is in the actual text. If you read it and it actually resonates. A lot of agnostic texts seems to put together a puzzle piece that seems to be missing in the Bible, which I learned that with just the Apocrypha, which I learned that from running into this motherfucking Israelite dude, and we did Bible study together with the Apocrypha. And when they did Bible study, they correlated the messages, but how they correlated is, they were still cherry picking. I only could learn what I learned for that short time because I started to realize very quickly, like, these motherfuckers, this is damn near a fucking cult. Nah, not damn near. It was a cult. I wish I could remember more. Like, I wish I could find that DVD that they tried to get back from me. They had some type of leader, some black dude, heavyset black dude. I think he had dreads or whatever. And they looked at this dude like he was Jesus or something like that. And they be like, and I think he lived in New York or something. And they was like, if they have a meeting, you supposed to drop everything and go to New York. And I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Because for one, I don't have the money to do that. I have a child to raise. I have to go to work, bitch. I have to go to school. Nah, I just can't be dropping everything. Because they had the type of mentality, like, if this man calls you for a meeting and your job say that you can't take work off, you supposed to quit because they get in the way of your connection to God, which is through this motherfucker. And I remember it was layers to it too. Like you had to, it was the type of shit that you had to work your way up into. But just from what I was seeing, I was already over it. So in this particular video, they was talking about the gospel of Judas, and that really intrigued me because I knew this girl, Cancer, she had cancer, and she had a friend that was very psychic. He was like the type of motherfucker you take out in public to a party or something, and he finds somebody in the corner and be like, yeah, your dad grandmother told you to leave that motherfucker alone because they're not good for you. And then the person would go to crying and stuff like that. That's how it is. But she told me that this person said that, because she showed me a picture, and in the picture he was doing some type of either healing work on somebody or something like that. It was an issue with this person's back. They had back pains and they was doing something to fix it. So when she took a picture, you could see orbs around him, and you could see like a face formulating in the picture. And she said that it's not something that she really showed anybody, but she felt like she could show me because I was spiritual. So she told me that the face that's formulating is Judas. And I was like, okay. Because her friend worked with that spirit or something, or that spirit was one of his guardians or something, he said. So, and she was like, I don't tell too many people because the reputation that Judas have. So when I was listening to this video, in the video it was saying that Judas was actually like one of Jesus' favorite disciples, the one with the most potential. In this particular, because I feel like when you read these different gossips, they telling you the situation through the perspective of that particular person. So that's why you can read like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Judas, and it could be like the same situation, but it's two different perspectives. And that's what's so intriguing about religious texts in general, even when it comes to the Bible. Like the Bible stories are pretty dope. I like the stories. I just don't like how people perceive it. So in the Gospel of Judas, it described Jesus as somebody who was like always kind of laughing at the ignorance of people. Like he was laughing because they was praying over their food, the disciples, and Jesus was like started laughing. And then when they asked him why he was laughing, Jesus was like, what type of God need to be praised like that? And then they was like offended, like, aren't you like the son of God or something? Aren't you like this or whatever? And then it said that Jesus had a realization that they didn't understand what he meant. But Judas had a certain understanding that he could, but Jesus was letting him know, prophesizing like what was going to happen. Like he was going to be taken through a situation that for generations he would be hated by people or looked down on or shunned by people. But at the end of it, it said that Judas was the one that was going to be on top, or the leader, or something like that. Because in this particular gospel, Jesus was saying that the God that they worship now, the God of the Old Testament, is evil. Like, the God of the Old Testament is a false God. It's actually like a form of the demiurge or something like that, or shit like that. So, and Jesus was also telling Judas that these people in this particular generation that they was in at the time would not be able to understand. Like, this is like a lost generation. But he took Judas like on this adventure or some shit like that to show him like the whole story, like Jesus took Judas out into the cosmos, told him that he is a star, and that basically he was evolving as that star. He was explaining like who we truly are, and he was telling him about a generation in the future. And this generation in the future is going to be like either the ones that open up heaven gates or something like that. I had to go actually read it for myself, because what I have noticed is that when I was watching this video, I could still tell that the guy, even though he's a scholar, I could tell that he researched this information and talk about it and knows a lot about it, as in he could regurgitate it. But when it comes to deeper understanding, I don't feel like he has that. Because on some parts where he was like, now it might seem, he was trying to explain to people that the text seemed to be contradicting, because at some parts of it, it seemed like Jesus was saying that Judas was special. He was actually ahead of his time. He was actually like anointed or something. And then it was other parts of the text that seems to be contradicting because of what Judas' destiny was, which was to betray Jesus and wear like that scarlet letter of being a betrayer and being hated and stuff like that. But with this generation that's coming in the future, he would be the one that's on top, right? So to me, it's not contradicting at all. It makes sense when you look at things in the form of duality, as in good and evil have to exist in order for balance to be created. And even if you hear somebody say that, like they said what I just said because they heard somebody say it, it doesn't mean that they understand it. Sometimes people are so deep in their judgment and bias that they can't zoom out far enough to have that understanding of duality. Like we should. Because if you did, you would end up being like Jesus, who is just laughing at shit. Like everything is funny because all of this shit is fake as fuck. That's how Jesus was. Like just a laughing. Like, y'all dumb as hell praying over this food. Child for to eat. Y'all dumb as hell for believing in that. Y'all dumb as hell. That's how Jesus was the whole time. So, now, I know some people, their perspective of it is like, all of this is allegory and stuff like that. It talks about things that's going on inside of you. Jesus is a type of consciousness and stuff like that. But nah, I do feel like these things has manifested into the flesh. Cause the person that I'm talking about who even said that is Dolo, but he said that he is Archangel Uriel in the flesh. And I feel like that's a possibility for all these other allegories as well. Not just a possibility. I kind of feel like that's the only thing that makes sense. Because anything, everything, it's just like we going through a spiritual war. And now Ukraine and Russia is in war. Because it's a manifestation on what is already going on spiritually, or what is already going on in higher realms and stuff like that. So it manifests down here physically. So yeah, Judas could be an allegory in the sense that it could be a part, like, okay, the Jesus that is within you, that Jesus consciousness, that awareness within you is being betrayed by the Judas that is within you. But in order for us to truly learn that, it has to be represented physically, because everything that we come to an understanding of, we have to experience it, right? So yeah, I do feel like Jesus and Judah and stuff was here in the flesh. And when I was reading the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, it was saying that that in every new age, like in the age of Pisces, and now we're going into the age of Aquarius, a Jesus figure was incarnated. Now this book was written in like 1800s or something, or maybe early 1900s. It might be early 1900s, like 1909 or something. And in it, he was talking about, I haven't finished it yet, but in it, he was talking about this coming generation, which we are in that generation now. That's why it's called the Aquarian Gospel, because he was talking about the age of Aquarius, which was, even in the Gospel of Judas, they was also talking about that too. And it reminded me when I was reading the JFK speech, he was also talking about a time in the future. That time is like now. Now, some things are just purely allegories. Like when, I think her name was Sarah, looked behind her, she turned into a pillar of salt. Or parting the Red Sea, or walking on water, or turning wine into water, or water into wine, or something. So yeah, I do understand that those aspects are allegories. Actually, yeah, like it was talking about a form of action. Um, I have to go and reread some of these stories, but like part in the Red Sea, he was trying to get away from the Egyptians. So he did something impossible to like show like the glory of God or something like that, which could have been an action, which could have been a conversation, like or something like that. So like the great flood. Well, they do say that there is evidence that there once was a great flood, so that might be something physical as well. But to be honest, like I feel like at this point I take everything with like a grain of salt. I only take what like resonates really, because there's a lot of shit that fabricated for you to believe in a certain narrative, or you to believe in something in a certain type of way. And so they be like, oh, people not believing in the Bible anymore. Okay, let's say that we discovered the ark. Let's say that we found the ark. You know, they might go find something. They will make it. They will make the allegory real because of how they want you to believe in the Bible. And the reason why, because some people might be like, well, why would they do all of this? Like, why would they create this story and they could have just lied to us? It's because that we was here, well, a lot of us was here like since the beginning, before Christianity had even take over like it had took over. And within our incarnations, we remember those things within our souls. So if they didn't give us something that will already explain it or brainwash of how you supposed to see it, we would just start to like remember these things, tell these stories and stuff like that, speak our truth and everything. So prevent people from doing it before you even have the chance to remember. They already programmed of how to think about it, because they know that it's going to come. But now they just got to get your mind prepared for, like, whenever this information comes to you, it's something already out there explaining what that is. And then that's how they get you lost and confused. Because because the way that they program us to even look at the Bible and stuff like that, the journey is not even about us anymore. Our whole journey become about worshiping this deity that they tell us to worship. That become our whole life, our whole purpose. And that be it. They don't want you to even believe in reincarnation, because if within that you believe in reincarnation, you will start to see how false the King James version of the Bible is. So, like, they knew that. So that's why you come across a lot of Christians and they just refuse to believe that they incarnated before, which is dangerous because they just, I mean, it's not dangerous. It means that they just ain't there yet. And all they're going to do is keep incarnating. Like, this one motherfucker I knew, this motherfucker had 3 yo's in his chart, right? Now, I'm not even really sure what that means, like the yo's and stuff. I looked it up, but it's not, to me, it's not sufficient information out there on it. I would like to know more about it. But he have 3 of them in his chart, and this is supposed to be like some rare alignment. Now, this is a motherfucker that at one point I thought this motherfucker was my twin. Stubborn as ever. At one point, you know, based off of some shit that happened, they was resistant to religion, and then suddenly they became religious. I actually feel like they became more religious during the time that I stopped speaking to them. Yeah, because something changed. I actually think it's that relationship that they got into. Whatever it did, it had a very powerful influence on their mind. I noticed that immediately after I didn't talk to them for a while, and then I started talking to them again. I noticed, yeah, whatever that shit was. But and it's such a waste, you know, because within him is something, you know. Like, I know that if he was able to free himself, like the way that he could expand would be like insane. But it just seemed like it's just so many factors around him that keep him locked in some type of box. But you know, he allowed himself to be, so shit, it is what it is. Cause he powerful enough to break through all of that shit, but he don't. So, you know, whatever he get, he get. You have to understand, everybody on their own journey, and they have to make decisions for themselves, you know. Some people, they want to be ignorant, but him particularly, he can't really afford, like, he might die being ignorant. Like, cause whatever he is way too powerful to be that fucking ignorant. So, yeah, he just gonna suffer. That shit gonna turn bad all the time. He know that too. Cause when he was up there trying to tell me he don't believe in incarnation, there was a strain. It was a strain in his voice. He had the strain. So, you know, he just being stupid, you know. Oh, dumbass. Probably sitting here listening to me and just sit there, just dumb and stubborn as fuck. It's the craziest shit I ever seen. I'm glad I witnessed it, you know, because when I go through these experiences with people and things, objects and stuff, because I was just talking about a relationship I had with a pillow. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think if I have a picture of that pillow somewhere. I should. I think in one of my posts where I was showing my younger photos, the one when I'm on this blue couch, I believe it was next to me on the couch. It should be a lot of photos, honestly, because I had that pillow next to me like all the time. But anyways, but like just observing it, going through this experience, it just showed me a lot, you know. That's why I'm open to people like from all over the world. I feel like sometimes, like I married a Jamaican person. I had dated foreign people in the past because some of them be fine as fuck. But I'd be intrigued by something different, you know. But a lot of times when I do meet somebody from a different culture, they are one of the most open-minded people of that culture. It still have its effects, but it's like it be having its effects though, man. Like every culture, every society, country has its pros and cons about it. But built into that country is all types of mindsets. You know, they could look at women in a very limited way. What happens is when I meet these people, I instantly start to challenge, not even on purpose at times, like just naturally because I speak my mind or I be myself. And within being myself, they will see something different. So, and I feel like it'd be hard to categorize me because sometimes people want to be like, "Oh, she a feminist," but I don't consider myself a feminist. That shit is too limited for me. So people, they would try to label me, put me into some type of category, but it'd be hard for them to fucking do. They might have to lie to themselves to even do that. So what happens is that they could think they could have never liked a person like me who don't believe in what they believe in. But then they will like a person like me, and then it instantly start to challenge what they believe in, because I be outside of the box, and it makes them realize that they are in one, because it's something different. It's a different perspective. It's a different way of being that you could be. There's a possibility. Because what I feel like what happened is that when we come across alternatives, either it's hard to truly know who that person is, because a lot of people, alternatives, like let's talk about celebrity for one. I would have to say Erykah Badu is a bit of an alternative. I'm just talking about a little bit, because honestly, see, people look at celebrities like they better than, but I be looking at celebrities like they have fallen, because the shit that they would have to agree to even get to that status is pretty extreme. And they all have to do it because that industry, just like they do with every other organization, like you go to the army, they're gonna rebuild you into a soldier. That's everything that you go into. Everything is set up like that, like some type of program. You're gonna have to go into it and get indoctrinated in some type of way, because they won't open the door for you if you don't. If they, I mean, you also have to think of it in the sense of, see, these people is usually obsessed with money, power, and control. And then they make us, even though we poor, they make us long for it. But all that shit is a fucking illusion. Yeah, these people have less to worry about. Like, they don't have to worry about their bills as much as us, but trust me, they got worries. And some of those worries you don't even fucking want. Like, I'm saying, like, these people are more trapped than you are. A lot of times these celebrities, they will look at you and be like, damn, I wish I had your life. Damn, I wish I could just walk down the street and not get bothered by people. Damn, I wish I could really speak my mind. Damn, I wish I could, just the little freedoms that we take for granted because we so busy chasing after what they have. And yeah, sometimes they look down on us, like, they try to say all the time, oh, you don't got the work ethic. Oh, you don't got the drive. You don't got the heart for it. You don't got the mind for it. Yeah, bitch, I don't. So what? And I can sit here and tell you by everything that you say that I don't got, you got it, and it's still fucked up. The mind that you have for it is fucked up. The heart that you have for it is fucked up. The drive that you have for it is fucked up. So it's the same energy as how people who had got the thing or whatever, and like it's different levels to it. For one, it does block them off. For two, it makes them very attached to this realm, because that's like you have to be in order to keep being a slave to it in the first place. So that's why they even install that in the programming since we came into this world. That's why we walk around here and we worship a piece of paper. I learned so much from like being with my husband, because he from a different culture, and if I talk about his childhood, it might seem like on the surface that he had less than me, but he don't see it that way at all. Like, he never worried about going hungry. They didn't have hot water. They didn't have running water. They caught rainwater and used that. They ate off of their garden. They ate off of their land. They raised animals and shit like that. And the air was fresh up there in those mountains and shit. Like, he enjoyed his childhood. So, and he can't wait to go back and visit Jamaica and stuff like that. Versus me, who seemingly materially had more than them, Um, I don't even fucking like going to my hometown. You know, I'm in the U.S., you know, I'm close by. I don't really have no choice but to visit, not so much anymore, but, you know, my family stay there. You know, I have family and I know people, like, they was born, raised there, and stay their whole life there in that town alone, nowhere else. And a lot of them love it so much, like, they won't have it no other way. Like, where I'm from, there's a personality, like, it's lively but chill. It's like, it's a small town, it's kind of country, but it's a culture where they love their rims and they love that bass in their trunk. So it's always cars rolling around playing music loud with the bass in the trunk because it's part of the culture. People are very expressive. You could get shit fresh. People will go and catch fish the same motherfucking day, drive around on their bike and just sell it to people that's on their porch. People share produce from out of their garden. Like, I'm eating tomatoes now that my mom grown a while ago. I got them when it was green. They just starting to get ripe. That's how it is. So it is a charm there. It's a personality. And I don't dislike it, but I got a lot of trauma there. Like, I have a lot of memories. And at one point I was starting to like it. This was around the time that I was starting to get along better with my family. So it felt, yeah, okay, that's the most major one. It's connected to my relation with my family. Because every time I go there, I run into those motherfuckers. It's like, I got so much family there. And if I don't run into them because I look like these motherfuckers, people question me about it because I look like them. Like, oh, you part of such and such family, huh? Mm-hmm. And some of my family members, they popular for things. A lot of times it was fighting. I have a cousin, a male cousin. He a Capricorn, and it's not that he go and look for fights, but it's like he tracked the opportunity for a fight to him, like, all the time. Or he use he do other stuff that he needs to be intimidating to people. So he uses that intimidation quick. He don't like to say like a whole lot of words, explain shit, be quick, but it's like a part of his whole persona. He was always very attractive, so girls like crazy as fuck about him. But he was popular. It's like that persona. Then I had two other cousins. They was pretty popular. But I had one cousin. She was popular for fighting. Cause she had hands so hard that she would fight a dude and fuck him up. Okay? So yeah, she was known for fighting. And she also used that intimidation factor and shit like that. Like, you know I beat your ass. Don't make me beat your ass. And then, you know, a lot of people, they might just shut the fuck up. Before she passed away, though, she was that cousin who threatened to fight me. I'm really glad it didn't come over because at that motherfucking point, like, you know, I'm talking about her back in the day. She had hands and shit like that. I'm like 10 years younger than her and shit. Maybe 5 years. That might be too far out. But, I mean, you come into my property, anything is liable to happen. So, I be glad because I really felt like they felt like just them saying that was gonna make, because they wanted me to stop talking. They wanted me to silence me. And it could have been achieved. It just was the way that they was doing it. You know, I could have been silenced with this, just people being fucking real. Like, the whole time I was looking for that shit. The whole motherfucking time. It wasn't really about any fucking thing else. Like, I loved them. I wanted to be accepted by them. I wanted them to love me too. I wanted to connect with them. I wanted to create a bond. I wanted to be family with them. That was always my intentions. But they don't even think like that. I had to learn that the hard way, but I do remember my cousin at points like telling me like the way that I view family is like fucked up. Like, not fucked up, but like unrealistic. Yeah, with they asses. And I was made out to be the bad person because I don't think like that. I was reading something today about my Zodiac chart where I have Aries. It's a asteroid, and it's in my 4th house, and it said it represent like that energy of being a black sheep, but you're supposed to cause some type of change from your rebellion. I had to have caused something because shit, I was rebellious as fuck. Like I was emotional about it. Like I was hurt, man. I was grieving my brother at the same time too, so I'm dramatic as fuck. Like, fuck all y'all motherfuckers. Like, fuck y'all. And then I come back and I would have to say how I feel. But I do always come like direct first, you know? Like I will contact people directly and talk to them. You know, what be pissing me off, every time that I ever came on the internet with some shit is after I was direct with somebody and they did some fuck shit because they was being a fucking demon, but they was trying to make me look like one. So the internet is like a line of defense, because I'm a low-key person. I got a small circle. And like, that's the only way that I'ma get my side of the story out to the right people. Cause bitch, I'ma say what I have to say. Because honestly, like, the things that people will be saying about me or making up and shit like that, they be some pretty extreme shit. Like, people be talking like, turn the other cheek, or, you know, you don't gotta give it no attention, or some shit like that. Or they be coming with me with some dumb shit like, people love, in situations like that, people love to use Beyonce as an example, because Beyonce don't reply to shit, you know. She ain't like Cardi B and something, but they would. But people ain't understanding the energy. Cardi B is doing what she needs to do with her being a Libra and shit like that, and Beyonce is doing what she expected to do, like a fucking Virgo. What people don't know is that she might not be saying nothing because it's true. But people assume because she not saying nothing that is not true, because she ain't bothered by it. She ain't giving it no energy. Like, man, y'all something else. Cause really, I noticed that that's usually how people move when they fucking lying. Like, they would do some shit, and then they would act like they would throw rocks and hide their hands. They would act like they not bothered by it. Like, that's childish. You being extra. Da 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 da. Bitch, I feel like your action towards me, the stuff that you doing in the background, is extra. So hell motherfucking yeah, I'ma talk about that shit. Hell motherfucking yeah, I'ma talk about that shit. Fuck that shit. And I don't give a fuck. People could take it how they want to take it. But nah, it just ain't gonna feel right in my spirit if I don't. I be trying. I be going a long time holding shit in. But that shit will come up eventually, because it be heavy. And I be like, nah, fuck that shit. Mm-mm. And then ever since then, I get to talking about these demons always move the same motherfucking way. They act like they above it or something. But then they will do shit in the background. They will call your friends and shit. They will start whispering to people, start getting into groups and being dumb as fuck. But in public, they unbothered. They don't give a fuck. Who are you? In public. And then you have the psychology of these motherfucking numbers. I wish they could let us take off the view count. I think that would be really interesting. Because that's something that I've been hearing a lot of people saying today. Today time, is that their numbers are being fucked with, or their numbers has been stalled. It's a lot of factors. So it's just best to not give a fuck about any of it. But should you expose it? Yes, all the motherfucking time. Because at this point, I'ma just say what I have to say because motherfuckers gonna think you crazy anyways. Shit. So you might as well be who you are. People gonna talk shit anyways. People gonna hate you anyways. People gonna blame you. Like, people gonna act stupid as fuck. You know, but it do be other factors. I do feel like people are purposely sabotage or hinder. And see, before these real attacks even happen, they already set up how you should look at a conspiracy theorist. They purposely set up these fucking implants or whatever to be like the first conspiracy theories. I can't even give you no names right now, but these was the ones that either end up dead or some shit like that, or they might be still alive and they still talking about how they was abducted by aliens and all this other shit. But those motherfuckers, see what they set up a narrative to create a psychology of now you afraid, like if some weird shit start to happen to you, some conspiracy theory shit, you gonna be thinking twice about thinking about that because you don't want to be associated in a certain type of way, and then you might be scared because if you speak the truth they gonna kill you in some type of way because they already built up that motherfucking narrative. So now people don't want to be the so-called whistleblower because they scared some shit gonna happen to them. Like, they scared. They built that fear in you. They even made a movie about a conspiracy theory, and you didn't want to carry that name because even though uh, some of these people said some real semi shit, like, see, that's another part of the psychology. They didn't want these people in the category of just being out of their mind. They wanted, they wanted to create fear on both spectrums. They wanted you to believe the conspiracy theorists, but they also wanted you to feel like you didn't want to be associated with that. Because when they talk about their experience, the things that happen to them is so bad, so extreme, that you don't want to experience that shit. So people, they end up going through shit and now they afraid to talk about it and stuff like that because they don't want to be targeted. Like, I came across somebody and they didn't want to talk about them not being vaccinated and stuff because they didn't want to be targeted. So what it do is it keep people silent, it keep people complacent, it keep people in fear. It keep them scared. And that's all they want. That was what they wanted from the beginning. These motherfuckers, like, they sacrifice these people in front of you. And I mean, they might be even trying to do it now, but I'm so, like, I know what they doing. Like, a lot of people that they are sacrificing, these souls made an agreement to it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, they was trained for that position. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and shit like that. Like, from kids, they was ordained and trained for that position to play out that role for that narrative. That's why I said in my post that if you get eaten by multiple, you will live in like multiple belly of the beast, and you could come back as like a celebrity. They want you to play out that position, but you are a slave to them. You a slave to whatever that belly that you are in. What we are seeing right now is like, we're seeing how hard it is to be a celebrity. Like, we seeing that. So there's a lot more people who saying shit like, I want to be rich, but I don't want the fame. People don't want to be famous, but I don't know how you gonna get rich, honestly, because just in the way that they program us, in order to get traction, to get traffic to your businesses and stuff like that, like, you have to put yourself out there and you have to be known by people. And then those are not just the only limitations. You have to make certain agreements. When you going into that world, you have to present yourself in a certain type of way. And yeah. So at each level, you're going to sell your soul in a new way. And each contract, so the best option is to present yourself as yourself all the time. And don't sign any contracts that you won't be able to be yourself. Because sometimes people, like, let's say like a artist or something, and they about to sign a contract with a record label, and they might be like, it might be a decent contract, Well, like they get a decent amount of money, but they know that they work for this brand. They have to really do what these people say. And they be like, oh, they only asking for 5 years. That's not too bad. That's not too long. But within those 5 years of being in that contract, they making you sign other contracts. They getting you involved in other types of ways. Why is always got to be a fight for these motherfuckers to leave? So, and I mean, it will be nice if the community supports you. Like you put your talents out and stuff, and then the community supports you. Or like we have to change the way like our minds operate and stuff, because we have to come together with people. We have to come together. So something just came up in my head. Something that I said I liked, but later on I realized I didn't like it, because this person, they drew a picture. It had two faces on it. I was talking to that trifling ass bitch. I was talking to her about it, and she said something on the line like, you know that you like it, you know that. And I was like, yeah, I guess I like it. But I thought about it. I liked it artistically, but I didn't like the energy behind it. I didn't like the secrecy. I didn't like the, man, fuck all that bullshit. Must be something I had to say, child. Um, but yeah, that's what it is.